Right, hi fellas. I had somebody say to me, what's your earliest childhood memory? Wow, that's a good one. My earliest childhood memory. I lived in Newmarket. I can remember living in Newmarket with my parents. We lived in a council house up on the Freshfields estate. My father had come back from Sweden and needed a house, so we got on the council housing list and we ended up at Freshfields. I think we lived with my grandparents before that, before we got the house, but I can't remember that, but I can remember the house in Freshfields. It was fairly close to the hospital, which was handy because I was a regular visitor to hospital, but always hurt myself, as young children do, always getting into trouble. Get myself cut and bashed about, falling off walls, as you do. But yes, that's my earliest childhood memory, Newmarket, Freshfields estate. We'd lived there on the Freshfields estate for about 3 years. And then my parents got a council house transfer and they moved just outside Newmarket to a little village called Isleham. And we lived at Festival Road in Isleham. Again, that council house. Huge garden, like an allotment it was, and I can remember my dad dug the whole garden up and planted potatoes. We were inundated with potatoes. He couldn't give them away, he had so many potatoes, and he only ever did that for once. After that he seeded it with grass and we ended up with lawns after that. I think we still had a little vegetable patch, but nothing to the extent that he'd done before. So yes, that was Isleham. When we were in Isleham, my parents actually bought their first house with the help of somebody in the village who loaned them the money to put the deposit down, which they paid back as soon as they could. They ended up with their very first house. And my dad was a keen DIYer, and he'd always come up with top tips. I can always remember my dad always had these top tips for you. And he also, he wouldn't throw anything away. He'd always say, oh, that will come in handy, I'll have that. Be it a stick, a bit of dowel, a door, a plank, he'd always hang on to things. So we had loads of what are classed as rubbish today, but back in the day, nobody threw anything away back then. Everybody would find a use for things, and my dad was no different. I think because you had to work for so hard to get what you wanted, it was hard to throw things away. So my dad would never throw anything away. And he'd always come up with top tips. He'd always give me a tip. If I was helping him, he'd say, let me give you a tip. So my dad was a really good teacher. Obviously he doesn't do DIY anymore. He tends to pay for people to come in and do jobs for him now. He's in that position now where he's not really capable. He's 90 years old, guys, and things aren't quite what they used to be. He used to be a keen gardener, and we had some massive houses, massive gardens. Most of them were laid down to things like shrubs and to grass. My father was also big into dogs. He loved his dogs. We had so many dogs. So the grass garden was good. Lots of walks. Yes, fantastic memories as a child, being brought up. My two sisters and myself had separate rooms. We had separate rooms once we moved out of Isleham. That happened in about, I was 11 years old when we moved to our first big house. I mean 3-bedroom house by big. And I actually had my own bedroom. My two sisters shared and I had my own bedroom. That was lovely, really, really lovely. I was always super tidy and still am super tidy. I've always been that way. My younger sister was the worst. She'd never put anything away. She was really messy, which really annoyed my elder sister who had to live in the same room as her. So half the bedroom was really tidy and the other half of the bedroom wasn't. But that's as it is. She's tidier now, a lot tidier now. I think having had her own children, probably going through the same. Yeah, she's changed totally now. I think that's it. I'm going to sign out from this one, guys, and then we're going to make another video about something else. Okay, bye.